It's just a gas station,
Yes.
pretty much. All right, Stephen, if you could stop yawning. Also, do you want to be wearing your name tag? I'm just, throwing
But
that
thanks.
out there. But yeah, if you could just with the yawning, knock it off.
Welcome to another episode of MQA Sunday with Margot and Steve. This week we're discussing the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verses 35 to 45. We welcome a new guest, Lou, husband of Elvira. Take a seat at our kitchen table and join the conversation.
Beautiful. I think you called me Smargo.
I think I did, yeah.
Smargo.
Which,
Smargo, yeah.
It's all right.
know
her-
I'll take
My
it.
mom used to do that a lot.
Her evil twin, Smargo.
Yes, exactly. That does sound like an evil name. Oh, I'm going to stick with
It's
that.
Smargo.
Smargo here.
My mom used to call me Chris Steven for Christina and Steven.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yep. Like we had all a name and a half, I
Mhm.
think. That's just what happens.
yeah. Well,
That's
my
just the
family,
deal.
also, all the women have A's at the end of the names.
Oh.
Brianna, Christina, Juliana,
Right.
Maria, Sandra.
Steven.
So it's all everyone.
Stephen,
Everyone just
Lua.
gets
Yeah.
mixed in.
Lua, thank you
Lua,
so much
yeah.
for joining us today. This is MQOA Sunday. We have a kitchen table conversation around the Sunday Gospels, and we use the beta lesson, which is our small group process here in the parish, MQOA. That's Mary Queen of the Apostles in Salem, Massachusetts. You can follow along, just listen along or view with us. You can interact with us if you're watching this live on Sunday morning, or you can download the lesson plan and follow along studiously, like a serious
Mhm.
student of Scripture. However you like it. We're happy you're here with us. And today we have a new guest. Does he look scared, do you think?
I don't think so.
No. He is unfazed by
Yeah.
us, unintimidated. We like our guests to be a little intimidated by
Okay,
us.
okay.
So if you could work
Yeah,
on that.
Yes.
We almost got this whole family.
Yeah, we're that's better.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you,
have
Lou.
to get Julie.
Yeah.
Then
That's
you have
right.
the whole
We're
family.
working our way through
The
the show and
Menards.
Yes.
show and thought / Menard family.
That's right.
But Lou here is, oh gosh, Lou is busy in this parish. Lou, what are some of the things you do here at the parish?
I'm a parking lot attendant on Sunday morning,
Yep.
and I'm going to be the financial secretary of the new Knights of Columbus Council here
Ah.
in Salem, which we're naming Disciples of Salem Council.
Took the words right out
Really?
of my mouth. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so. Oh, I like the name. I hadn't heard the name.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
we didn't want it to be from a single parish, even though it's based at MQOA.
Yep,
The shrine is already asked us for some help, and
that's
maybe
right. That's right. They came
Yes,
right in here and
yes,
started
yes.
asking for your help.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
nice. And you're actually going to do it, which is
Yes.
excellent. And Lou, you've been a Knight of Columbus for a long time. Is that right?
I joined in 1980. I'm a senior member. I was Grand Knight of Billerica Council, which is called the Father Wren Council,
Okay.
in 1987 when I was
Okay.
40 years old, and we had a bingo game. It was a traditional
Oh, yeah.
Knights Council with a bingo game, a function hall,
Yeah.
and a bar room, which I'm very
Of
proud
course.
was only open on Thursday nights. I
Oh,
was very-
really?
yes, I was very proud of that.
Oh, okay.
They've since, because of membership, they're now meeting at
Mm.
either the parish or at the golf club in Salem.
Okay. So they still
In Salem, in Bill, in
In-
Bill,
right,
in,
right, right.
in,
Rillica.
in Billerica.
Bi-
Or
Bierka.
the Ricca, as we
Right.
call it.
Oh, is that what they, I
Oh,
didn't
I like
know.
that.
Okay. Now do you have the feathers and the sword and all that?
The Knights did away with
They
the
did.
with the fancy capes and the swords
Oh.
and the plumed hats about 3 years ago. The 4th degree Knights now wear just a regular suit
Really?
and a beret,
A beret.
because they
Neat.
wanted to get rid of all the secrecy.
Right.
All of the ceremonies are open to everybody, which was a big no back in the day.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
that's very cool. That's
Yeah.
an evolution right
Yes.
there.
Mm-hmm.
But did you get the hat and the cape before it
No, I
went
was
away?
never. The 4th degree with the hats and the capes is a separate organization.
Oh, it
It's
is.
called the 4th degree Knights, and they're called assemblies rather than councils. And it's a totally
Oh.
different.
Oh my
well,
gosh.
I mean,
Different
you have to be a 3rd degree Knight to
Yeah.
become a 4th degree Knight.
Okay.
and it just that
Oh,
I
see?
never wanted to get a plume and a sword, and I had enough trouble with the 3rd degree without worrying about the 4th degree.
Right. See now, and if this was 5 years ago, he would have to kill us after
Yeah,
telling us
right. After
this,
telling
right?
you that, yes,
That's
yes,
very true.
absolutely.
But we're safe.
That's
We're
very
safe,
true.
and we're very happy to have you here. Thanks,
Yes.
Blue. We always start with an icebreaker. So tell us. We already know your name. You don't have to tell us your name. Tell us your favorite seat to sit in, and what you wanted to be when you grew up.
My favorite seat to sit in, probably the. We have a love seat, and I just lay across the love seat with my feet over the end.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Always with a
Yeah.
cat or a dog, probably, right?
Usually Julie's dog
Yep.
on my lap.
Okay. Oh, I love
That's
that.
awesome.
When I was a kid, when I was born back in the day in the city, the only people we knew, everybody worked in the steel plant. This is upstate New York. Everybody worked in the steel plant or the Chevrolet plant.
Okay.
So the
Oh.
only people with college degrees I knew were the local pharmacist, the
Yep.
doctor,
Okay.
and our teachers. I never met an engineer until I went to college.
No kidding.
So I wanted to be a pharmacist.
Okay.
And that was the worst thing. So one day my sister, who's much older than me, said, "You know, Lou, you're more of a hands-on person, and maybe you don't really want to be a pharmacist," because her husband was,
Oh.
and it was working from noon to 9.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
pharmacy. She said, maybe you want to become an engineer. I said,
And you were liberated.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Okay.
said,
Sure.
that sounds good.
She looked like she
Engineer,
also
okay.
didn't want competition for her
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah, that's
Really,
right,
that
that's
was
right,
it. She
that's
was
right.
like, I can't have another pharmacist in the
That's
family.
right. That's right.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
All right. Not bad. Steven, how about you?
I'm Steve. My favorite my favorite seat is a smoker's chair that I have at my home. I don't
Ooh.
smoke, but it's like in that style.
Okay.
Leather, has an ottoman. It's
Okay.
actually like outside of my living room area, so it's really nice. And I wanted to be a teacher when I was a kid.
Did you?
Yeah.
Any particular kind or
School teacher.
elementary,
No,
high school?
I think it was only while I was in elementary, so I'm guessing elementary.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got over it.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite seat is this ratty old rocking chair in our guest room, and it has an ottoman that matches, so you can like.
And it also moves.
It also,
Ooh, I like
yeah.
that.
And you cannot sit in it alone. No matter where the cats are, they sense that someone is sitting down in it. So there's always a cat. And it's really ratty and like chewed up, and it's so comfortable. My husband really hates it. Every couple of weeks he says, "Oh, maybe we should get a new chair for up there." Like,
He said,
no.
"No way, the cat is just going to
No,
wreck it anyway."
that's right. It's true.
And I
That's
love
true.
the Zoom meetings with you, with the cat walking across
Oh
the
my
keyboard.
gosh, these
Yeah.
cats! I'm telling you, they're camera hogs.
Mhm.
They are. That's why we record this here, because
Yes.
It
otherwise,
would be
Yes, we-
everywhere.
yeah. And I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a first grade teacher because I loved my first grade teacher, but I got over that pretty quickly. I didn't
second
have
grade.
any passions or marketable skills until late into high school. So, but here, look how we turned out.
Yeah.
We're all
Well,
here.
here.
And we're going to be reading through the Gospel of Mark. That's chapter 10, verse 35 to 45, if you're following along. I'm going to read it once. We're going to take a little minute just to kind of soak it in.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to read it again. So let's take a deep breath. And while you're listening to this Gospel, you can actually ask God to point something out to you, something that may speak to you in this moment of your life, in your situation this week, this day. So this is a reading from the Gospel of Mark. Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." He replied, "What do you wish me to do for you?" They answered him, "Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" They said to him, "We can." Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and with the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right or my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at James and John. Jesus summoned them and said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones make their authority over them felt. But it shall not be so among you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Take a second, soak that in. And I'm going to read it through one more time. This is a tongue twister, so I'm going to go kind of slow. Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." He replied, "What do you wish me to do for you?" They answered him, "Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" They said to him, "We can." Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink you will drink, and the baptism with which I am baptized you will be baptized. But to sit at my right or at my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at James and John. Jesus summoned them and said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones make their authority over them felt. But it shall not be so among you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Whew. That is a tongue twister. Whew. Lord. What kind of screams out at you from this reading? What can you make of this?
Well, the disciples thought that they were really great because they were following Jesus,
Yeah.
and it is true they were.
Yeah.
However, that they wanted to be the greatest,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes me back to the other reading about the wedding where the lowest guest sat in the first place, and then he was asked to move down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing. Whoever
Oh, boy.
exalts himself shall be humbled,
Man,
and that's
these guys, they're boneheads, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, they
Yeah.
really...
This is the second time they're asking about greatness.
This is like... And if you look at where this is situated in the gospel, like, literally the last 3 kind of sections before this, Jesus has been like, "Look, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be murdered." Like, he really... In Mark, he's sort of mysterious all the way through. And then he hits this part around now where he's like really spelling it out for them. And still,
Clueless.
they're missing the point.
Yeah.
Right?
Or avoiding it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to think of this like in story form. If I told this story, it would be like something like they went to him and were like, "Can we make a wish? Can you grant wishes?"
Yeah.
Right? And Jesus, I picture rolling his eyes and being like,
Yeah.
What do you want? And they go, so you just told us you're going to die and go to heaven. And so, oh, cool. We're cool with that. Can we go too? Can we also be like right up there with you? And Jesus here rolls his eyes, I think.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned before that I can really relate to. I'm drawn to an eye rolling Jesus. That's my love language. So that works for me. But oh boy, I love this. Is almost comedy, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit will come on these apostles
Mhm.
after Jesus has died on Pentecost.
Right.
I wonder if that was the plan.
What do you mean?
Like, Jesus was like, "Ugh, I need somebody. These guys just don't know what they're doing.
Right.
3 years. I've been
Yeah.
with them 3 years."
Yes.
And they still don't understand.
And
They
like,
still don't get
or
it.
is like the Holy Spirit like just like waiting, like they just he's stretching. It's like, ugh,
He's-
man.
He's
I
He's
wanna
like
get in
seeing
there.
it coming. He's like, coach, put me in, put
Right.
me in.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, these guys who say, yeah, we got
Sure,
this.
sure, yeah.
You know, we know how the story goes after, after Jesus is arrested. They're like,
And then they abandon him.
bye-bye.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
These very two. And these, I think, two, James and John. John was definitely, at least, I think James too, was definitely with Jesus at the Transfiguration.
Oh,
So
I
they
believe
have
so.
like,
Yes.
right?
Yes. The two of them. Yes.
So one of the scholars said, they think they're thinking of that Transfiguration when they ask
Oh.
this question, like,
To
oh,
be
can
left
we
or
have
right.
like Elijah and Moses' spot
Oh,
when
oh,
you go to
oh,
heaven?
I never thought of that.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
But really, I mean, one thing these particular disciples should get out of all of them is that this is not a comedy story, right? This is not
Yes.
a rom-com.
No.
Like,
Pure drama.
big deal, terrible things are about to happen. But I don't know. This one kind of cracks me up. I don't know if that's appropriate. But I just love that they always ask the wrong questions. That's another thing I can relate to.
Mm.
What stands out to you about this reading, Lou? Anything else?
That we're meant to serve. That you shouldn't take the number one place.
Right.
You should lay back and see what other people want.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been coming up in the last few gospels where and I think I'm going to ask the same question which I've asked before, are we hearing in this story that it's wrong for us to ask God for what we want or to be successful? Cuz they're just saying, "Hey, can we be at the head of the class, right? Can we be with you in glory?" Do you think we're supposed to learn that that's not how we're supposed to pray?
Yeah,
Being
definitely.
the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 We should pray for whatever we need, not for what we want.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm not good at that.
Yeah. I feel like it's like that's like man, human
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be the best. It's like the values on earth, and Jesus is talking about the values of heaven,
Yeah.
which is the opposite.
Yeah, right. He says to them, you know how rulers work here.
Mm-hmm.
They're like lord it over everyone. They're like
Yep.
carted around on thrones and fanned with palm leaves. I don't know
Sure.
if that's really true. Drawn through the city on chariots, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's what they're imagining. Like, oh, so you're the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is about to get fancy.
Right, because they're thinking he's here to take over the world.
Right?
Right.
Despite the fact that
Physically.
he has literally told them he's
They
about to
did
die.
not- yes.
Right.
Right? And he says to them, look, this vision of lordship that you've seen is not how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Does it go back to that they were expecting that the Jews were expecting a great military leader who was going to defeat the Romans, throw them out, establish an empire or
Right.
a Jewish state, which never
Yep.
have happened until 1948,
Right.
1947.
Right.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's what they were expecting. So I think they're still thinking,
think so,
well,
too.
gee, what's he doing? He's going to die, but how can he die? He's going to be a great leader.
Right.
He's going to rally the troops. We're
Right.
gonna
Maybe
we're gonna
he's
throw those
kidding.
Romans out.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
we'll protect him.
Or maybe he's like
something.
being cagey. Maybe he's about to do something amazing and actually be the Messiah we expect him to be. Right? Yeah, oh gosh, this maybe the reason I like this gospel so much is that I can relate to this. I feel like, and you can tell me if this is true for you. Like, I have found myself asking God the same questions or expecting God to act in a particular way, and God not doing that, and me still keeping my expectations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you ever?
Well, God has a plan for us. It's
Yeah.
not, sometimes I worry, bad people. Does he does he have a plan for bad people,
Yeah.
or only a plan for good people? For people who will follow him
Yeah.
or are reasonably good to others.
Hmm. And everyone
You
else
know,
is on their own,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Right? We all kind of have our hopes on how God works, but it's not necessarily clear. Have you ever asked God, like, he says, what do you want me to do? Right? They say, we have a wish, right? And he says, what is it? What's your wish? Basically, which I think is interesting. He's not like saying, don't even ask, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He is saying, well, okay, what do you want me to do for
Well,
you?
maybe saying if it's something reasonable, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Or if it's something good for
Oh,
you.
that's
If
right.
it's something
Yeah.
good for you. Now, being
Oh,
number
yeah.
2 and 3,
Yeah.
is
Sorry, no, that's not a yeah.
necessarily a good thing for you. We've got Moses and Elijah and all those other people that are maybe
Right.
number
Yeah.
49 and 50.
Right. Let's not get ahead
So
of
you're
ourselves, right?
you're down to the down to the 325th.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that is so true. I feel like this is be careful what you wish for is the theme here, right?
Right.
Because they're like, glory sounds good,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Jesus is like, well, it's glory,
Hmm.
but just okay, if that's what you want. And he does say, you can have this.
Right.
You can go through what I'm about to go through too.
And most did, right?
Yep.
And then.
Yeah, it wasn't there weren't very many pretty endings
Mhm.
for the disciples, for sure.
But it seems like they always are still constantly wanting that human side
Mm-hmm.
of things,
Mm-hmm.
which is very human.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We never stop wanting what we want, I think,
Right.
right? And I think in reading this, God is okay with us wanting what we want, right? He's still he's saying, tell me what you want.
Yeah.
Throw it out there. Let me see what
You're
is
not
it
gonna
you
like
want.
the answer, but yeah.
Yeah, right. One of the quotes in the lesson this week said, Jesus tells the two that they don't know what they're asking. I think that they know what they are asking for, but they don't realize the steps necessary to achieve it. Perhaps like children asking for and promising to take care of a puppy. They really don't know what they're asking for or promising to do.
Right.
Right? Or, yeah. He says, I think the same thing often happens in congregations. They will make statements like, we want to grow, or we want to reach out to our community, but they don't really know what those statements mean or the steps it requires to make such glorious things happen.
Mm.
Have you seen evidence of this, Stephen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I always, I've been part of parish ministry for a long time, and councils and our pastors would be like, we want more youth, we want more younger people,
Mm-hmm.
and I always was asked the question, well, do you really want them? Because they come with opinions and thoughts and
Oh, yeah.
ways of doing things that are different from now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just come and be like us; it's come
Yeah.
and change
Right.
everything.
Right.
So yeah, I think that can be right. It's like all the steps. I'm like that in the sense of, because I was a project manager, I'm trying to be really organized. I know all the steps. So when someone's like, "Oh, can you do this video?" I'm thinking of like everything that goes
Right.
involved, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Or like,
It's
are
not
you
that
sure you want to do? Yeah, it's not
simple.
that simple. So, yeah, I think that's because it is. You want to. I mean, this is the third time that he's told him that he's going to die.
At least, yeah.
And they totally skipped over that process.
Yeah.
That step.
That's
A
so
very
true.
huge step.
That is so true. Maybe I've told the story before here, but I remember hearing a speaker who went to address. Oh, maybe I wrote this. He went to address a church, and he said to the congregation, "I hear you want to attract young people. How many here wish their kids were still coming to mass?" And everyone raised their hands. And then he said, how many here are willing to change the style of music so that your kids will want to come? And they were all like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's such a good point. Like, we all have the dream,
Right.
right? We all know we want the glory part,
Mm-hmm.
but the bits in between are not always so easy.
Yeah.
Can you relate, Lou?
Yeah. How do you do it? How do you make it happen?
Mhm.
How do you get people back? How do
Mhm.
you, if the old timers don't want to change?
Yeah.
Famous Adam 12 episode,
I love Adam
the
12.
organist and the choir and the choir director are fighting outside the church because because the choir director doesn't want to sing Onward Christian Soldiers, and the organist says, "Yeah, well, you can sing what you want, but I'm playing on Onward Christian
Oh my
Soldiers."
god.
And so there's two, there was the new
So
guy
this
and the
is
old guy. I'm not
tale as old
changing.
as
I like
time,
that
right?
song. Everybody likes it.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, it sounds like what's happening with the Knights, right? Their old model
Yes.
stopped being effective or
Right.
drawing in new members, right?
Yeah.
So there were two ways to go. You could kind of stick with the plumage,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
The plumes and the swords.
The plumes and the swords. Or you could reach out to meet the people you're trying to draw, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that. I love that the Knights are really trying to change.
Yeah.
To
And they're being
connect
Yeah,
with the
they had to
time.
get reinvented.
Yeah,
yeah, and they want to be more parish based, which
Yeah.
is
Yes,
nice too.
yes.
that is so
Yeah,
cool.
one in every parish. That's what
Yeah.
they want.
So the way we got off on this side note was
Mhm.
about our expectations of who Jesus is meant to be, right? Who we
Mhm.
think, how we expect God to work in the world. We're going to take a quick break,
Mhm.
and then we'll come back and talk about that a little bit.
Hey there, I'm Stephen Antonio, the Director of Family Engagement, and this is...
Margot Morin, your pastoral associate.
And we're here to talk to you about the marriage course offered here at Mary Queen of the Apostles Parish in Salem, Massachusetts. The marriage course consists of you and your partner sharing a meal, watching a video, and having a private conversation about strengthening your relationship.
Marriage course is great for you, whether you've been married for a long time or what just feels like a long time. And we recommend it for anyone, no matter what your age or the stage of your marriage. You can find out more on our website, mqoa.org/MC. Well, and we're back.
Oh, hi.
Lou, you picked out a question from our beta lesson. It's a quote, and I forget who it's by, but it says, when the church, I do remember, this is Father Thibodeau, when the church gets too rich and powerful, God strips it bare so that it might begin again and be more what Christ wanted it to be. So we talked a little bit about our expectations of who Christ is supposed to be.
Mhm.
This quote, and this guy is just like, hey, this is what happens. When
Right.
the church gets too big for its britches, Jesus Christ, smashes it bare and makes it start over. And he said that very matter of factly, I thought. Do you think that's true?
I never thought about is that why the Reformation happened?
Yeah.
Because they were selling indulgences
Right.
Mhm.
to raise money to build St. Peter's.
Yeah.
And that's and maybe Jesus said, well, we have to do something, so I'm
Right.
not going to strike people down because. So
Right.
let's do something else.
Yeah.
So here comes Martin Luther and everyone else.
Right.
Mhm.
For the
Yeah.
we said the Reformation, the
yeah.
Counter
The
Reformation,
Reformation.
the counters,
Yes.
right all the way up to Vatican II,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
soon the Synod.
Yes,
Which
the
is
synod I keep on hearing about.
Yeah, this is a new conversation the Pope is leading people in the church through about whether the church should update its models of leadership, basically, whether
Oh.
the lay
I-
people should be consulted more and involved more in decision making. So that's going to be really interesting.
That is interesting. 3 years.
Yeah, it starts officially kind of now
Okay.
and then goes for the next 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
I agree with the quote.
Do you?
Yeah, I think the Catholic Church should not be powerful.
Okay.
I think it's not meant to be a kingdom on earth. It's supposed to be a kingdom in heaven.
Yeah.
And I think when just looking at the Roman Empire and then looking at United States being a Christian state, or the history of the last of New England being so Catholic too,
Yeah.
it all falls apart.
Yeah.
And so I think we shift the power, we shift the ideas from Jesus to power, and I'm happy that the church is smaller.
Yeah.
It's more painful, unfortunately,
Yep.
for those who knew it as being so grand.
Mm-hmm.
But a church that's more Christ-like I think this is what Jesus is saying too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I would love a full church, like you're saying.
Yep.
But it really is to be more like Christ wants it to be.
Yeah.
And I think Pope Francis is doing a great job with that.
Yeah.
I think I've just hear so many people outside of the church give so many good things to him.
Yeah.
He's not perfect.
Right.
He's not going to touch everyone's opinions, but I
Right.
think he is bringing in the church, the Christ,
Right.
back.
Well, even Jesus himself didn't fulfill everybody's expectations,
Right.
right?
Right.
He
So
fulfilled very few
Jesus-
people's
Exactly.
expectations.
That's
yeah,
right. Not within his own best friends, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Still.
he didn't even fulfill theirs.
That's true.
Boy. Well, I think that's kind of fascinating. Do you think, well, how do you think that works? I mean, what Father Thibodeau is saying just is like, look, Jesus is like, oh, let's do this again. We need to we need to change things again. Do you think it's that God is stripping the church bare, or do you think that it's just humans kind of failing to recognize what we're supposed to be doing? Like who's the action, who's the agency, who has the agency in that story?
Mm.
Do you think that's God kind of rebooting the church? Or do you think we're all just kind of failing and then trying and failing and trying?
Little of each,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more on the on human,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no, I think when it happens when there's no like self evaluation of what's happening and
Mm-hmm.
like, why is this happening? Like
Wait a minute.
just questioning everything
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that God, because I don't think God he has the power, but I don't think he would do like a Noah's Ark kind of thing with the church.
He promised not to.
He promised after
Actually.
that, right? So I just think it's definitely humans, and I think the Spirit might be empowering those who are speaking out. So like Luther, because he pinned a bunch of stuff to the
Mhm.
walls,
Well,
right?
yes.
Right.
Yes.
So like I believe the Spirit was with him,
Mhm.
and clearly not with the rulers of the church who didn't want to change the man,
Mhm.
the human didn't want to change what he was saying
Mm-hmm.
or address it. So yeah, I think it's nice. Honestly, I think it's nice. I would like to know more periods of when the church was like it now,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened after it. Because
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just a new thought, a new idea
Yeah.
that the church kind of recycles
Yeah.
from power and too rich to
Yeah.
what Christ
Yeah.
wants more.
Right. I don't have sort of a smiting God sort of vision of God. Like I'm not comfortable thinking of God as being like, ugh, let's upset. Like I'm thinking of like a game board when you
Like
like
the
toss
Matrix.
everything up. I'm not comfortable with God being like, well, here we go again and
Mhm.
wiping it clean. I can more see a cycle of humanity just trying, failing, trying, succeeding, failing, I think we do it to ourselves,
Mhm.
right? Because like in the Gospels, especially in the Gospel of Mark, especially in these chapters, God is pretty clear
Right.
what God expects of us, right? Which is to love.
Mhm.
The
Pretty
greatest
much.
commandments.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And we do get distracted and
Mhm.
we do sort of create a God in our own image. And then somehow our God fails to meet the expectations that we have built
Right.
for that God we've built, right? I've mentioned on here before, I listened to a podcast walking through the Old Testament. One of the things the guy said, which I can't get out of my head, is that everybody loves that God is slow to anger until they want God to get angry.
Very
Right?
true.
But in fact, God is slow to anger.
Mhm.
God does let us try and fail.
Gives us a
and
long
try and
leash.
succeed. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then he pulls it back in somehow.
Yeah, yeah. I we could talk about this for hours,
Yeah.
right? But I kind of do want to circle back a little bit and just ask, um, have you ever been in the disciples' position of asking God for something that ultimately wasn't good for you?
When I was much younger, when we're kids,
Yeah.
I wanted a new bicycle.
Yep.
Well,
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, definitely when I was younger.
Yeah.
Just asking for situations to be better or different or,
Yeah.
selfishly
Yep. Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
God.
Right.
Like a genie.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
With making a wish,
Mhm.
or like Santa.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's probably a pretty typical kid thing.
Yeah.
To
Oh.
think that God,
Especially,
answers.
I mean, but then there's also people out there that say like, oh, that's because God did something. There are people who believe that God has a bad hand in your life,
Yeah. Like God
um,
is punishing you.
punishing you
kind of
still
thing.
to this day. Like
Mhm.
we see it in the Old Testament, and we see it in this setting of the Gospels too. If you're
Yeah.
sick, God. So I don't know what my point was, but I think that's so. I think it's still I think that's a shallow
Mhm.
knowledge of God.
Yeah.
Who God is.
Yeah. Sort of a transactional
Yes. Yeah.
relationship,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. Like I said, I'm not super comfortable with worshiping a God that is smiting people all over
Right.
the place because they screwed up,
Yeah.
or whatever. And that just hasn't been my experience with God,
Mhm.
right? One of the other things they talk about in this podcast is that there's a sin cycle through the Old Testament of how God makes a covenant with the people, they screw it up. God starts over with them, they screw it up.
if you read Kings, it goes on and on,
Yeah.
like pages upon pages. You
Really?
may as well get a Xerox machine
Exactly.
and just change
They did it again.
change the king's name
Yeah.
because it's the same thing. He said he gets
Yep. Another
page
one,
upon page.
Another one. But in this podcast, they said, you can look at it as a sin cycle. You can look at it as God's wrath coming back and back and back. Or you can look at it as a redemption cycle. You can look at it as we screwed up. God starts over with us.
Right.
Every time.
Yeah.
God is there to start over with us and give us a brand new start, which it's all about your perspective.
Right.
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 And the way we see God has to be big enough for how big God actually is, right?
He's huge.
Yeah, he's
Yes, he's
huge.
Mhm.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. My biggest thing that I'm always asking God for is like, tell me the plan. I'm always like, just tell me the plan. I'll do whatever you want, God. But I need to know. Like, I need to know how the story ends, because then I'll play the part. But I just need the information.
Mhm.
And God seems to think that is not good for me. For whatever reason, God almost never says, okay, here's the plan.
Right. Right.
Right? Because I don't know what I'm asking for. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I knew the story, how the story ended, that may change everything. It's like that thing about time travel. If you go back in time and change one thing, the whole story
Yes,
changes, right? And God again and again says to me, look.
Because it seems that God is always on the big picture.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah.
So something that might feel big today
Yes.
will feel like, I think I saw a TikTok that someone told Cher that like if it doesn't matter in 5 years, then it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And so like that kind of view.
I have heard that.
It's tough. It's tough when you're in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're in the boat.
Yeah.
The storms are coming.
Right. Storms are coming. Let's take another break.
Okay.
This time we're going to hear Father Murray's
take on this.
Little homilino.
Amelino.
That's not a real word.
I wonder where he'll be in Salem this week.
Let's find out. We'll be right back.
The gospel this morning reminds us of something very important about Jesus, is that he came to serve us by his life, death, and resurrection. And then, for those who've been invited by grace and faith to follow him, we too are called into a life of service in following Jesus. And so James and John actually are a little bit like all of us. We all want to be on the top of the mountain a little bit or in charge of stuff. But what Jesus is saying to all of us is if we really want to be the ultimate servant of God, serve others, serve God in others. And so this morning, James and John and all the apostles and all of us are given a quite clear description of what Jesus is all about. He came to give his life for all of us, and then in return, he asked all of us to do some type of service. I have a friend who attends a church in Timonium, Maryland. One day the pastor got up after first having 20 or 30 people out in the foyer of the church with pens and papers and pencils and clipboards. And he said to everybody, if you are in this church and you do not have a specific role in the church, a ministry, you need to leave now because you're taking up the seat of someone who wants to serve. And that day, many people got up and left. But as they left, they were encouraged to go to the clipboards and the people with the clipboards and the pens and offer to take on any ministry that they were interested in. And so that day they lost actually 50 or 60 people, but they gained 150 ministers. We're not quite as radical as that, but we recognize that it's important for all of us within our ability to take some type of service for the Lord. The Beatitudes help us, remind us of that for all of us, when Jesus gave the Beatitudes, he also was describing a way of serving, that in many ways, we don't have to all do the same thing or have the same gift or even use the same gift in the same way in order to serve the Lord, to serve the Lord in others. And so as we celebrate this Sunday Mass, we might reflect a little bit about how we serve others, particularly as disciples of Jesus Christ, looking for Jesus in others and looking to see how we might help those who need to have the word read to them or need to have the Eucharist served to them or need to be served in some way, that Jesus Christ might be served in all, above all, for all. May God bless you this weekend.
And we're back. Before we go, I kind of want to know, like, what is it about this reading that you're going to take into the next week? What's going to be kind of nagging at you from this reading or from this conversation? Anything kind of sticking with you this week?
I'm going to be more humble. I
Look,
think I'm fairly humble anyway.
you
but
are pretty
but I
humble.
think everyone can work on that.
Yeah.
Being humble, just serve other people.
Yeah.
Try to help when you can,
Yeah.
and if you can't, still do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I'm gonna work on not stop asking
Mm-hmm.
to be on the right or the left,
Okay.
and like ask the right questions, focusing on the right things.
Do you have an idea about, like, is that something you ask a lot?
I think,
Is
yeah,
that something you really need to like, oh, I need to stop doing this? Like,
I
how
think
does it come up?
well, with what we were saying, like being a servant and being more humble, and that I think that kind of for me goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
I do take these moments of, like, when I read these in this moment of MQA Sunday, I'm like, okay, God, I can see where God wants me to shape me into a better person.
Mm.
So that's just, so I'm going to try not to be like James and John,
Yep.
who's asking for a human thing,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully we'll shift to more of a godly or holy thing.
Yeah. We didn't cover this, and go
That's
ahead.
a very good point.
No, thank you.
With the holy thing, let's concentrate on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We'll give it the old college try. We didn't talk about this specifically, but that last line, he talks about the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve
Mm-hmm.
and to give his life as a ransom for many. If you think about the word ransom, That's someone pays for your
Right.
freedom, right? It means because I give this or do this, you are liberated, right? And
Mhm.
I love that he's saying, look, there's trouble coming, but I'm here for your freedom,
Mhm.
which is very cool. I think my takeaway this week is, yeah, it's going to be to stop telling God what to do. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty much my job every week, to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm really going to try this week.
Mhm.
And
Well, you've been kind of asking the right questions with your tithing
yeah,
series.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I am. I'm trying to be more trusting of God and more, because I do trust God, but I'm trying to be more sort of surrendering
oh, okay.
with God, which is not something I do
Ooh.
very naturally.
Mm.
But yeah, surrendering and trusting that God will take care of me, even financially if I need it, or in my needs while I'm helping other people with their needs.
Mhm.
So far, so good. So far, so good. And maybe I can extend that to my actual prayer life this week. Speaking of prayer, let's pray before we end. God, thank you for this conversation. Thank you for your word that reminds us again and again, God, that you are in charge and that you know what's best for us. God, help us to widen our images and our expectations of you so that we can see more of you, so that we can know you better and love you better and follow you better. God, I ask you to bless our listeners, especially those out there who are coming to you with their requests for what they want and what they need, asking to be part of your story. Thank you for Lou and his family for our conversation today, and all the people who join us on podcast and video and here at Mary Queen of the Apostles. Keep us safe until we meet again next week. Amen.
Amen.
Lou, thanks so much
Oh, you're
Yes,
for
very
thank
being
you.
welcome.
on our little show down here. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
And listeners, viewers, thanks for joining us. Have a great week.
MQA Sunday is brought to you by Mary Queen of the Apostles Parish, located in the historic city of Salem, Massachusetts. Your hosts are Margot Morin, Pastor Associate, and Stephen Antonio, the Director of Family Engagement. The show is recorded in Salem, Massachusetts and edited by the staff of MQOA. The beta lesson is written by Margot Morin. Find out more about Mary Queen of the Apostles Parish on our website, mqoa.org.